One of the questions that those tests ask you to figure out if you have TI or not, I think is like, do you enjoy taking things apart to see how they work? And I'm always like, no. Nope, 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 octopus.
I was talking to an INFJ about how they learn and like how they would approach, for example, a math problem. So this is interesting because we both have NISE, but then I have TE and he has TI. So for me, I could just, I guess, see the pattern enough times. And I think once I got that, then I would just be able to do it. So I guess he was saying for him, learning, it's a much more in-depth process, and he couldn't just like see the pattern and then just like utilize it. He would have to actually understand why it works. So like understand the whole mechanics of, yeah, like all like the mechanics and like theoretical underlying, So he would have to like figure out all the theoretical underlying principles of that entire like probably section of math. But then I think once they get to that point, they are probably much more prepared to like deal with any type of problem, whereas a TE user might have to be like, okay, so I learned this one formula and I know when to use it. Now I have to like learn this one formula and know when to use it.
Yeah, I guess they have to start out at the foundation, but here's like this other thing. If it doesn't already kind of, if they can't make the connection to their existing framework, it's kind of like a block dead end situation, I think.
Definitely, yeah. I can make that analogy with my NI.
Oh my gosh, okay, I gotta now tell this example of me explaining MBTI to an ENTJ and to an ENTP, and you know who they are. It was like this wildly different experience. Holy cow! So I explained to the ENTP, and I think I've been like telling him this for years and years, and he never really. So really, the wall. I never penetrated his TI framework. So it's like this fortress, like TI fortress. Oh, we're gonna have such cool graphics for this. It's gonna be like this TI fortress, and I keep flinging little like cannons on, and it just like bounces off, like bounces off. So once I finally like penetrated because he's like a filmmaker and he's really interested in some directors, and I was theorizing that these directors are a similar type, and that's why he might like them. And then he like got interested, and then he started learning more because it latched on to his pre-existing framework. But every new piece of information I present him is like a freaking literal tug of war, or like walking in quicksand, because I can't just tell him one piece of data. He has to like understand this data in terms of a funnel. So I have to begin at the very beginning. I think what he really wants is for me to sit down and be like, well, there's this guy called Carl Jung, and he was a psychologist. Contrast, ENTJ. Back when we were in a relationship, we were having relationship issues, and I brought up MBTI, and he was like, oh, let me like look at this, and then he started like reading this website that I showed him. He's like, oh, interesting. The next day, like tomorrow, he was like, Calypso, I figured it out. I am this type, you're this type, and we're having issues because of like this one letter difference, and if I can just have some sort of feeling expression and be sensitive to your feeling expression, then we can work out this problem. I'm like, holy cow, that's like TE, just, like let me use everything for greater control of my environment.
Right. Yeah, so I think that might potentially be why TI users could be frustrated with us TE users, is that they just want to share information just for like the sake of like knowing this information and understanding the system. And I think TE users might just be like, okay, so like what? Like what is the ultimate purpose or like the utility of this knowledge? And then TI will be like, what do you mean? Like, don't you just enjoy understanding all the intricacies of this? I think we might be kind of, I don't know, trying to get to some point or trying to rush the TI users, understanding of something. And yeah, I imagine that's maybe how they could see us.
Such a good analogy, right? Such a good analogy, like FI user, me, and a lot of the times I'm just this is not an issue in any friendships, but sometimes if you're in a romantic relationship, people can get entangled. So a lot of the times I'm just expressing my emotional range. Even like most of the time I even do it in a logical way now that I'm older. I just explain that I am like upset because of these issues. And then the FE user sees it as like, they're like, why are you picking a fight? I'm like, I'm not picking a fight. I'm literally just, isn't it interesting? Like, isn't understanding this entire emotional spectrum interesting? They're like, no, why are you picking a fight? Why can't we just get to the happy side? Let's get to happy now. Let's go. I'm like, no. Why are you rushing me? And TI is like, why are you rushing the information?
Yeah, exactly. So FE would be like, oh, there must be some intent behind the FI user, like, saying all these things, so let me figure it out. And then the TE user is like, yeah, where is the intent with all this TI information? I don't get it. The TI is just like, no, just understand my framework.